All right, everyone. You're here for the Digital Reputation Workshop, and we will start like this. Five seconds. Fire this back up. So it used to be that opinions were made of you in the first 5 seconds. You walk into a room, everyone makes their opinion of you. What's that guy doing with the goofy bow tie? What's his story? And your opinion's made. And that's the way we've worked for hundreds of years. But now, we've got the first 5 clicks. So think about that. How many times do you go to an important meeting, or maybe you go meet another colleague, or maybe you're looking at a different school or something like that? You absolutely go on Google or you go on LinkedIn and you find out a little bit about who you're going to see and who you're going to meet with. So it now happens in the first 5 clicks. And that's a little bit of what we're here to talk about today, the importance of your digital reputation. So we've gone through quite an evolution, as you can see here, ending up back like that, hence my hunchback. And this is great. So most of you from America will remember this without audio. 1990 is when the cell phone came out with the big brick box. This looks like a Saturday Night Live spoof, doesn't it? But now we're up to 2013, and the Google Glass will be out very soon. So the point here is that technology is moving so fast, and so is digital. So today I'm going to share a quick overview of what's happening socially, and it's not just about Lady Gaga and Justin Bieber. There's so much more there. So I'll share some fun facts there, and then I'll give you an understanding of what your digital reputation is and how that can affect you, and then finally give you some tips on how to kind of quickly put yours together. So 4 out of 5 adults are socially active today. This is a great, great slide, and this happens to every one of us each and every day. You sit down somewhere to have something to eat. There's advertising everywhere about the best thing you can have, but in the end you go with what your friend's having. You take your social recommendation. Anytime you're going to spend more than $10 on anything, you normally look to someone and say, should I get this? Should I do that? Social recommendation. People will believe a social recommendation 90% of the time, while they'll only believe an advertiser 6% of the time. 1 in 8 people that got married in the last year met online socially. That's pretty scary, but it's true. 28% of college applicants are denied due to some social shenanigans. So they might have the perfect scores and they're members of the best groups, but they did something silly. And we see that all the time when people coming to apply to work with us. You go look at their, of all places, a social company, and we go look at their social and go, really? So last night you did this, and now you're telling us you're a professional, this or that. So you have to be, social is a very transparent thing, so you have to be aware of what's being said that you're saying or what others are saying about you. Most corporations, 93%, will do a social review of who you are, along with all of your qualifications. So that's a key point these days. This is a crazy, crazy stat. Flickr. Flickr is an online photo sharing website. It was one of the first. You upload all your photos and say to all your friends, look at my photos. It took them 7 years to reach 6 billion photos. Facebook does that every 24 days. 24 days. And think about it. Every time you see an iPhone go up in the air with a photo, where's that going? This was pretty scary. This came out 2 weeks ago. 1/3 of all internet traffic in the evening in the U.S. is Netflix downloads, people watching movies. Every second, 3 people join LinkedIn. We're from Texas, so to make some sense of all these different networks, this was a fun internet meme going around, and so we did a version of our own here. This kind of explains the networks for those that aren't totally savvy with all of that. So Twitter is of the moment. I am eating barbecue right now. Facebook is I like barbecue and my friends like barbecue. Foursquare is I am here at the Grand Hotel. I just checked in. I'm at the Grand Hotel. It's a location-based. Instagram, you're probably well aware of. It's a photo app that allows you to put Photoshop sort of effects and post. YouTube, you know that video. LinkedIn, I have barbecue eating skills. And Pinterest, here's a barbecue sauce recipe. Are many people on Pinterest here? Okay. Pinterest is like a modern day magazine clipping. So I have a Pinterest page of all my favorite bow ties that I see all over the web, and you just pin them and it goes up onto your board. And here's Sam's Pinterest bow ties, and here's one for favorite dogs, and here's one for barbecue or whatever it may be. And I'll show you some behavioral neuroscience Pinterest pages as well, which are interesting. Spotify's a music, and then Google Plus it's a great network. However, it's just the nerds that are there, so it's just us nerds eating barbecue. This is scary. So if social networks were countries, Facebook would be the 3rd largest in the world, Twitter would be the 4th, and the United States was 5th, but recently Google has jumped ahead of that. So we have quite a few people socially engaged. So here is the best explanation of what social is for you as a person, for an event, for a brand, for a school, whatever it may be. Think of it as a TV channel. So if I turn on your TV channel, your social network, and all you're doing is selling to me, me, I did this, you did this, I did this, 50% off that, we're the best, how fast do you switch that channel to the next channel? And what the next channel is, the one that people will stay tuned into you with, is something they're interested in. So if you're playing something I'm interested in, I will check in with you every day. I'm interested in what you're doing. And that keeps you top of mind with me. We'll get back to that in a moment. So that's all great. So what do we need to do with this stuff? So the fact is that the social media train is flying into the station here, and you have a choice of whether you want to be in the engineer's seat or do you want to be on the track as it comes flying through. Okay? So one of the big things here is that you can now totally expand your reach of your audience of people that you connect with, people that you share with, and also people that you learn from. It's not just a small pool here, it's an international appeal. So, for example, here at IBNS, this year we went social. So normally we have 275, 300 people, something like that. And we hope that everyone learns something really great here and that they go home and they share it with 3 or 4 people. And if we do that, we're kind of high-fiving saying that's great. Well, by socially engaging this, by sharing what we call corporate cliff notes, some of the best things that all the speakers are saying, and having you all post some of your things and putting some of these webcasts up online, we've already reached 37,000 people that are engaged talking about IBNS. So, majorly expanding your circle of influence. It's an opportunity for you to take a leadership position in your field, in your studies, and what you do. If you start posting interesting, relevant things, people are going to start looking to you. They've never met you in person, but they go, boy, this person really, really gets it. I'm going to stay tuned into them because they share interesting things that are relevant to me. It is a vanity thing, too, right now. Everyone needs to be socially engaged, and do you have your Twitter account and all that kind of stuff. We get hired so much of the time for vanity, for image. A brand wants to look like the most socially connected. We know our community. We know our audience. Look at us. And in fact, they may not be, but they want to have that appearance. And it's the same for individuals as well. So here's the real problem. If you don't address social, someone else will for you. So your cousin Bubba in Rambo, Riviera, Arkansas, posted a great photo of you at the family picnic. So if I go and I'm going to have a meeting with you and I go look up online to see who you are, and there's your photo from the family picnic, that's not a great representation of who you are. So jumping on and taking control of your digital reputation, your social presence is huge, because that's your opportunity to tell whoever's coming to check you out who you are. Not filtered by anyone else. It's who you are and who you want them to know. So the key there is that. And it's so funny to go, so many times I'll go to a meeting and I'll first look up someone, and it is as silly as that. And a great example is a good friend of mine he's a big business guy in the oil business, and I went and looked him up. And it was all these horrible photos that he really did not want associated with him that had nothing to do with him, but he was accidentally tagged in there. So if someone who didn't know him looked, it's like, who are all these people you're hanging out with, and do you normally hang out and drink beer at the lake all the time? No, that wasn't the case, but it looked like it when someone went to research him. So this poor student was out one night and had a little bit too much to drink and passed out in his pizza, and Tom Hanks walked in the bar. And so his friends begged Tom Hanks to take some photos and said this would be really funny, and they did, and those went to Facebook. And this student, who was not on Facebook and wasn't into the social thing, all of a sudden was a huge meme online. Everyone was posting that. So the next day he goes into school or in for an interview or something, and there are these photos. Even though he's not social, he's what they call in the digital shadow. So while you may not be social, your friends and family and colleagues are, and they're posting photos and talking about you. So when's the last time you were asked to, can you show me your resume or your CV? And I hope you didn't mail it, or maybe you emailed it. But we're really moving past that now into times of, I need to check your LinkedIn. I need to see what's there. And that's where people are finding their information about you, in addition to the old school CV or resume. So some quick tips. I mean, I am not a huge LinkedIn lover. I don't think it's just a tool that just happens to be there. But I can tell you that in about 2 or 3 hours, you can sit down and really devise the perfect LinkedIn page of who you are, and then you just leave it. You know, it's nothing that you have to keep updating all the time. But it's important to do that because that is your new CV. That is your new business card. That is where people are going to find out things about you. So a few tips on that. Have a nice headshot, and don't have a whole toe to headshot and you're there with your dog or whatever it may be. Have a professional looking, here's who I am shot. And for all of your social presence, have the same image. Have some attention-getting headline. Put as much of your experiences down as possible. This is where people go in and dive into stuff. It's amazing when you go into a meeting and they'll pull up something and say, I didn't know you worked on a sheep farm when you were 13 or something like that. But people will go read all of these different things. Make sure you have all your contacts there, and then you'll be able to create your own custom URL. Have an interesting summary. Don't have blah, 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 blah. Put something fun. Make it interesting to read. Have a clear call to action. Call me because I can do this. I am best at this, whatever it may be. Make sure you have something of interest there so it's just not like everybody else's. Work experiences. I just cut one little piece here, but put all of your work experiences in there. Put all of your education. Put all of that in there. This is your place to put it there and own it. What are you doing in the community? Again, this is like when you were first applying for college. Put all of that stuff in. Everyone wants to see that. Specialty recognition. And finally, your designations and your affiliations. That's always important. Everyone likes to, oh, I know you because we're in the same affiliation. We're all from IBNS. I didn't know that, so that's a great thing. So make sure you put that there because this sets the table for any discussion you're going to have with anyone. So again, across whatever networks you decide are important, make sure you have a common look and feel so that when they go look for Sam Stanton, even though there are 1,000 Sam Stantons, they go, oh, there's that image, that's him. And try to get the same name wherever you go. And one last thing, and that's the end of the Sam Stanton show, but basically go buy your own URL. So go buy your name. So I went and bought Sam Stanton. And when you go there, this is a great free site right here, about.me. And you can go in there and put in your name, and you can instantly throw up a photo of yourself and put your bio in there. And that's a great landing page for anyone to land. And it'll have all of your connects over here. And it's just a fun page that, here, let me give you my email is this, or my Twitter is this, my phone is this, or instead just say go to samstanton.com. You can find out everything you need. They'll remember that. Okay, now what? So we've got an understanding that we need to have a presence. So what do we need to do? So don't stay locked up in your house and not doing anything there. Don't be a Boo Radley. Instead, here's this one gratuitous child shot. Go out, okay? Go out and go out socially, meaning go out onto networks and see what people are saying and respond to them. You first have to figure out who your audience is. Who are the people that you want to listen to, and who are the people that you want listening to what you're saying? So where are they? Are they on Pinterest? Probably not. Are they on LinkedIn groups? Probably so. Are they on Facebook? Yeah, maybe. Are they on Twitter? Yes, maybe during conferences they are. But figure out where they're at. And I'm not saying go join all of them. You're not social network sort of people, but figure out what networks your people speak on, and that's the networks you should go to. Get signed up, and at first it's not like, oh, I have to put 20 posts out a week. You don't have to do any posts. Just get signed in and just check in once a day for 5 minutes and see what people are talking about. And I guarantee you at some point someone's going to say something that you're going to say, that doesn't fly. I need to respond to that. You are so wrong. And all of a sudden, you've now jumped in and you are now engaged in this conversation. You know, that's a big thing everyone says, I am so busy, I don't have time. I wish I had time, but you don't understand how busy I am. Everyone's busy. Just put 5 minutes in the day. Maybe it's when you come in and have a cup of coffee or after lunch or in the evening before you go to bed. 5 minutes. Just do 5 minutes a day. So Pinterest is that site I was telling you about that was really interesting. So it's a clipping, so to speak, of things that are valuable or interesting to you. So it's now become the most searched network, right behind Google, more than Google Plus, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and right behind main Google. So it's interesting. When we got here and we wanted to look where we wanted to eat in Malahide, we went to Pinterest and said, where do you eat in Malahide? And it pulled up all kinds of things. So I actually did one for behavioral neuroscience, and here's one of the pages that came up. So interesting little articles that post here. But what happens is if you've spent any time on Pinterest, you'll spend a lot of time on Pinterest. And while you're just looking for one thing, you end up diving in and going all over the place. But as you are building your brand of yourself, as you're building your reputation, you'll want to have that common, there's my name up in the top corner, and there's my little bio about me. Because what happens is people will start clicking on this and going into the full article. This is just a quick image and highlight of what the article is about or whatever it is that you found. And when you click on that, there's much further discussion. But throughout that whole trip or travel through this discussion, someone's name's at the top. Someone's building their digital reputation. Someone's getting liked. Someone's the authority on this. And whether they created the original content or not, they curated it, meaning they found it and brought it to your attention, they're now associated with that. So that's a very interesting thing there. In fact, it's very Pinteresting. Come on, no laugh. So, I'm sharing all kinds of different things here, and how do you get signed up for Pinterest, or what is the proper way to do my LinkedIn? Go to Google. Type in most effective LinkedIn page. And it'll say, here's the 5 things you must do. You must put a photo in this corner, and you should look to the right, and you should wink with one left eye. Who knows what it is, but go look up there, and they'll tell you what it is. What's the best way to do a Pinterest page? What group should I join? Type that in Google. It will tell you. Google tells you everything, unfortunately. So now when we start posting a little bit and sharing, here's something to keep in mind. Be relevant. Be top of mind. Be noteworthy. Make your followers care. Okay? So for those in the U.S., you know who Johnny Carson is. He was a fantastic television host. But why he was so fantastic is he was unbelievably likable. He never took anyone's side, never needed to. Always smiled, always said to people, that was a great comment that you made, or I love your jacket, or whatever. He was just totally personable. If you can embody that enthusiasm with what you're doing, you'll have tremendous success. So why are we doing this? And this is interesting. This is actually here in Dublin, a very famous library. But it's important now to start building a foundation of knowledge that's associated with you and perhaps about you. Today, when you go to Bing or Google and search for something, I don't know if you've noticed, but at the top you always have the paid results. So here's my search for Mexican food in Dallas. So at first, your paid returns. So the people that paid money, that if someone in Dallas looked for Mexican food, there was the returns. After that, underneath it, are the popular ones. So here's what everyone clicked on, whether they like the paid one or not. But the interesting thing that's happening here is on the side. These are social results. So it goes and connects to all of my social networks and says, has any of Sam's friends or connections talked about Mexican food? Or have they talked about behavioral neuroscience? And what were their responses? So again, that 90% social recommendations, over 6% just paid advertising, people are listening to this. This is having tremendous success for all the search networks. So what you're going to see is a huge, huge shift in search. And now all of these paid and populars are going to go away, and this is going to go over and be in dead center. Because you would much rather know what your friends or colleagues think than what some random person thought or what someone paid to have you think. So you're building all of this content or just sharing other content you found, and you've put your stamp, your name on it. So a quick example of things to say. We always tell everyone you just need to go figure out who your audience is, what their interests are, and based on that, make a couple buckets of content. So we're a digital strategy and events company. So we look at our clients who are event planners and organizers and said what would be of interest to them. So in our case, for our brand, our buckets were exotic locales because we're traveling all over the world all the time. And our customers would think that's interesting. Experiences, unique experiences. So what are some cool, unique things that we've done at different places that other people could use? Social, some social tactics. And it's not stuff we're doing, it's stuff anyone's doing that anyone could apply. So we throw that out there. Gadgetry, we're nerds, so fun gadgets. And just fun, goofy stuff. And you'll see at the top there's a little bucket. No more than 10% of what you post should be all about you. It's not a bragging channel. The minute you start doing that, you'll start losing an audience. It's important to stay current. Don't set it up and then never come back. Because the second time I come back and see nothing's changed, I'm not coming back the third time. So just, so then people say, well, gosh, I don't have time to keep doing that. You need to check out something called Hootsuite. So it's a scheduler. So on a Sunday, you could go find 5 interesting articles and schedule Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, go out, one a day. It'd take you 20 minutes to do that. And throughout that week, you'll have 5 posts. And now you're top of mind. That's all we want to be, is top of mind amongst our community. So stay fresh. Don't be toast. Share, don't brag. It's not about me, I just did this. If I did that all the time, you would never tune in. This is a great one. So on Facebook, the guy in the top center there was a friend of mine. And all he did was post about him and about his energy company that he was working with, right? So come to this seminar and you can look. This guy makes $200,000 a month. You can too. Come on down. So he was killing all of his friends with all this horrible content. So I gave him one comment of, if he's getting that much money, why is he wearing that yellow jacket? And that was it. I unfriended him because it was too much sales. And everyone else did too, and he didn't understand why his social never worked for him. So you need to cast your net. You need to figure out what are your interests. So it might be work. It might be education. It might just be your hobbies. And you start connecting with those groups. This sounds incredibly nerdy until you do it, and it's amazing. There's things called tweet chats. So literally, if you're into 1952 Morgan cars, there'll be a tweet chat where everyone will just start talking about those at a certain time on a certain day. Or maybe it's behavioral neuroscience, or whatever it may be, is specific. People from around the world will start posting. So I do 2 of those a week they are nerdy, but it's amazing the content that's shared there, and more importantly, the connections that you make. Compliment people. How often does someone come in and say, "That's a great shirt, I love that shirt"? And the minute you do that, someone goes, "Oh, thanks, I like that guy. He said nice stuff about my shirt." So, I mean, it's true, and it's scary how much people get so closed in and never say anything nice to anyone. It's, "I just need this. Can you get this for me?" And that's all that people do. So from those from the U.S. will know Eddie Haskell there, he was the king of being nice and engaging. So it was funny. I ironically met the head of social for Ford Motor Companies just because he wore bow ties. And I saw him on a posting, and there he was wearing a bow tie. I said, "That's an awesome bow tie. Where did you get it?" And then left the conversation. So if someone walked in the room and said, "I love your jacket," and then just walked out, you'd go, "Well, wait a second. Who are you? Tell me more. You like my jacket? Do you want me to tell you where I got it?" So just do that. And that's what happened there. That's how we met the head of that. I didn't know that's who it was, but we started talking. And what do you guys do? What do you guys? Oh, really? Yeah, I've heard of Ford. So, so that's what happens. A simple compliment will start the longest conversation in relationship. And this is important too. Make it a two-way. Okay? So it's not great tie and walk off. It's, "Hey, that's a great jacket. Where did you get that?" So that elicits a response that they respond back, and now you go back and forth. So this was a great study. We did a program that was in 2 locales. It was at the Four Seasons Prague, and then we went to the Four Seasons Budapest. So it was a great social test. Four Seasons is a fantastic social brand in what they do. So as we left Prague, I sent out a post saying, "Thanks, Prague, for a great visit. Budapest, your hotel is ridiculously over the top." Okay, so let's see what happens. So then Four Seasons Prague said, "So happy to hear from you. Had a wonderful stay. Hope you come back and visit us soon. Bye-bye." No response back, just thanks, which is okay. They responded, at least they're listening. But Budapest said, "Thank you so much. What's your favorite part of the hotel?" So now they're getting mentioned again, and they're asking me for a response. So now I have to mention them again, which I did, and said the lobby is pretty amazing. It reminds me of my house. So their lobby is a castle in Budapest. It's amazing. And so that was funny, and everyone responded on that, and that got reposted. But they got to respond again. So now they're mentioned 3 times. And they said, "Yeah, we love our lobby too. Thanks for coming." Listening. Just listen to what people are saying. And it's amazing the conversations you'll jump in. How cool is this? So this person was headed down to this Four Seasons and said, "I'm headed down to the Four Seasons Austin. Can't wait. It's going to be a great weekend." So they're listening for their name or their subject matter or whatever it is. And when they heard that, they said, "Oh, you're coming down? We'll have a watermelon limeade waiting for you when you check in." So what did that take them? $5 for a drink and just someone listening? They just made a customer for life. There's a great book called The Icarus Deception. And it basically evolves how we've gone through all these different economies. So we started with this industrial revolution, and you could have any color Model A you wanted as long as it was black, right? And then we went off to war, and then we came back, and we had all these lawnmowers lined up that we could buy, but we said, we really want someone to mow it for us now. So we moved into this service economy. So we had people using our products that we had made during the Industrial Revolution. And that lasted quite some time. But then we moved into what we call the experience economy, which was really interesting because, yes, I had a plumber come over and fix my plumbing, but, he smelled a little bit. He was a little bit late. And, yeah, it works, but it's okay. But the next time I had this guy who showed up 5 minutes early. He was really clean. He had the little booties on when he came in the house. He cleaned it. He got it all working. It was $20 more. But that's okay. It was a great experience. So that's kind of where we've been, is in this, hopefully anyway, in this experience economy of having good experiences, not just a service and not just a product. But now they say we're moving into this connection economy. So how well are you connecting? So here's a great story. I was in Hawaii going to dinner with some clients, and I'm a foodie, was going to my favorite restaurant, Roy's Hawaiian Food. And I tweeted, "Hey, Roy," like I'm buddies with Roy, which I'm not, but "Hey, Roy, I'm headed to your place tonight. What's the don't miss?" So Roy sees that and responds and says, "Hey, Sam, the boats just came in this morning. The butterfish looks amazing." So I see that and go, "Oh my gosh, Roy, my buddy, just responded to me. How cool is that?" And so we go to dinner that night, and I go check in and say, "Hi, I'm Sam, checking in." "Oh, yes, Roy told us you were coming. Here's your table right here for you, and he wanted you to have this appetizer, and apparently you're having the butterfish tonight." So that took 5 seconds for him to make a phone call and give me a plate of soybeans for free, and will I ever go to any other restaurant there? No, I mean, that's it. He's made a connection. So it's this connection economy thing that is so true, and that's what social is about. So, great, now what? How do we get started? So I've shared a ton of different things with you, but the thing to do is just start. So just go, you don't have to go and try and do everything. Remember chicken on the high board? So you don't have to go do everything. Choose one network, get signed up, and start following. And if you get courageous enough, start posting a little bit, start looking at other things, and start finding people of interest and following them. And eventually you'll start jumping in the conversation. You don't have to go and try and do everything all at one time, but you should start because lots of people are already there, and it's time to join that conversation. Those are some great, great books that are very, like what I like to call Fisher-priced. So they're very simple to absorb and understand and get why this is all happening. Socialnomics was one of the first ones. That Icarus Deception was a good one I was just telling you about. And then the follow-up was Digital Leader. And then this is a new one that came out a week ago. So the major takeaways today are your digital reputation is happening with or without you. And that's so true. So many of the times when we'll meet with a client, they'll say, well, we met with Mary Kay, and they said, our ladies, they're not really that social. So I don't know if this whole social thing's going to make a big, I don't think so, really. So, pulled up the computer, and they had an event 2 days prior. There were 750 posts. I said, oh, yeah, there's 750 posts there. Ooh, that's not a good one. Anyway, but they're not social, so you don't. But the fact is that people are social, and they are jumping in and having conversations that you're perhaps not a part of, and they are perhaps talking about you, so it's time to jump in there. Stay up to date, informed locally and globally. The news gets their news socially. So things break on Twitter before they break on CNN. And you see now they encourage everyone, hey, if you have some news, tweet it here or share it on our Facebook or post it to this. And that's where they're getting their info. One of our good friends that we work with a lot shoots for Sports Illustrated and has for years, and he's an amazing photographer. I mean, that's where we've gone for years and years and years for the most amazing sporting shots or swimsuit shots, as it may be. And 2 weeks ago he was told, yeah, so we're not... unless you can go shoot for us for free, we're really not, we're not going to be hiring any photographers anymore because there's so many great images we can just pull in, which that's a huge shift. So people are churning from being content creators to just curators of great content. And then finally, extend your audience and reach and impact exponentially. So you can now, just like IBNS has done with this conference, extend way beyond a couple hundred to tens of thousands if your content is worthy. Any big questions?
Well, so one of the things that I notice is that there are lots of images available on the internet, but it seems like people own them or companies own them. And what you, for example, showed this Pinterest site where people are posting and they just say, well, this was from Google and this was from this or this was from that. I mean, can you get into legal trouble by borrowing an image even though you stated where you got it?
So the question is, can you just pull images from Google and put them in your social or put them in your website or your blog or whatever it may be? Is that legal to do? So the basic understanding and comprehension of that is if it's shared socially, then it's shared with the public. But you do give a biblio, a reference too. Now, you can't go put it on your website and say, drink lemonade like these people do. If you're selling something, perhaps not. But as long as you're, for the most part, giving them a reference as where it's from, you can. And it's really an interesting point right now with Facebook because, they change their profiles and their permissions every 2 weeks, right? You can never keep up with it. Don't even try. But one of their latest things is, hey, when you signed in 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, you clicked on that thing that said I can use your images, if I wanted. So now what they're doing is they're taking the shot of my little girl and saying Pampers wanted to do an ad and they used your shot because you approved it. So that's not cool because they're selling with your images. But for the most part, as long as social is a very reciprocal environment, so when I say, when I mention someone, I always put their social name as opposed to Sam, I say @Sam Stanton. And there's normally a return of favor and thank you in that. So if people don't do that, they normally get called out very quickly and burned as such. Good question. Any other questions? Sure. So the question is using social for recruitment and sharing the knowledge. So in a respectable, not salesy way. So, the interesting thing, too, is we deal with all genres from sports to conventions to, pharmaceuticals to life insurance to financial. And so for a while there, everyone said, oh, well, we're under such regulation. We're really told we can't do anything socially. Well, you shouldn't, if you're doing social correctly, you shouldn't be doing stuff that is in any way under regulation, because you should be sharing things that are common and of interest to your respective audience. So the whole goal with social is not to sell. It's like with HP. We were just working with HP, and it was interesting. They're used to saying, here's our printer, here's our printer, here's our printer, here's our printer, which everyone said, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. So instead, if you're sharing things of interest, so HP sponsors all of these Formula race cars and Indy cars. So if they're just sharing content that's interesting to that audience that follows that, and at the end there's a little HP bug, then people will take that. So it's more about being top of mind than selling and promoting the whole time. So if you figure out what your audience is, this younger generation that you're trying to recruit, what's of interest to them, and start sharing their information and be their source so that you're on their homepage every day in some way, or in their inbox or on their tweet stream, then you're top of mind whenever they do go to that, where am I going to go? What conference should I go to? Or whatever it may be like that. So we have started working with some schools with their social, and that's exactly what it's about. Yeah, so we're downstairs in the Buzz Lounge, which is just that big screen with all the moderated posts that are coming through. We encourage you to tweet, and if you don't know how to do that, we're down there to help you learn and give you an understanding, so that whenever people do start having these social conversations, you can at least be savvy as to what they're saying. But we'll get you fired up on your phone or your iPad or whatever it may be, and help you post that. And also down there just to help with general social conversation, or for that matter, digital conversation as well. Another question here.
Okay, so part of my brand is my students, and the connections that we have with students, and just had a bunch of students graduate, and it would have been lovely for me to put on my Facebook page, congratulations to the graduating class of 2013, so and so and so and so, and there's a ton of students, right, talk about their accomplishments and everything. But that's public information, and I don't know what they want out about them. And, so I've really struggled with, even I had an honor student this year, and I talked to her about, would it be okay for me to put this up there? And this, that, and the other, and she's like, yeah, not if it's public. Right? So how do, I guess, I don't know, what are the rules and maybe what are the norms, and is there a way to sort of brag about my students and these fabulous connections and these individual experiences I'm having if I can't really talk about those individuals?
So the question is, if you didn't hear it, is it okay just to talk about anybody without their permission, basically, or how do you get their permission to do that? What's cool and not cool? So you're in a great situation that you've only got 10 people in your fold, let's say, so you can have those quick personal conversations and say, is it okay if I congratulate you online and share your experiences and your success. And that's normally people will like that. Oh, that's great. Thank you. You know, the school or whoever is promoting me, and that's a great thing. Normally people will like that. But that is a question that you need to ask them. The other thing that's interesting thing too now is that you can set up your preferences so that people can't tag you or do any of that unless you approve it. So, of course, no one reads all those profiles and all those settings, and most things are wide open. But you know, there are no exact defined rules with social right now. I mean, they're still being made. We just did something with Victoria's Secret, and they said, well, we have our social media plan in place, and we had everyone sign it, so we're okay. So the question was, oh, that's great. Well, how many people read it? Because it's like 8 pages of blah, 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 right? So instead it was changed into a 1-page, basically don't be stupid, you know, explanation of what you should do. So that's the key now. There are no defined goals. There are leaders who are doing good things that hopefully will now go across all, you know, all different studies and enterprises. So it's best to ask before you start going too crazy promoting people socially. Any more questions? Lunch is coming in right now. Thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing some posts and tweets from you.